Well, welcome back to the Gobby Gaffer, and in today's video I kind of thought that as soon as I'd got Leicester City back into the Premier League, it would be quite interesting to see if we could simulate another season and see how they do in the Premier League, and hopefully they can get some kind of a stabilisation in there. Obviously we've got a transfer window, which is great because we can bring some more players in that will be, will help us in that quest in the Premier League. So I thought, okay, let's give it another simulated season with Leicester in the Premier League. Let's get stuck straight in and have a look at the transfer window and see what players I've been able to bring in and which players have actually gone out from the club as well. So just working on the players that have left the club. Wilfred Ndidi was a little bit of an oversight of mine because I simulated the season. Obviously, I didn't have control, and Ndidi's contract came to an end. He decided to leave and he's gone on a free to one of the Saudi sides, which is a little bit of like I say, a bit of an error of mine, because indeed he was was a great player in that defensive midfielder role. So we obviously need cover there. The other headline exits were Patson Daka went to Tottenham for 40 million. So he went fairly close to the transfer deadline. So I had to do a little bit of scrambling to try and bring in another striker. And also Pascal Gross went to Dortmund for 7.75 million. Now my backup keeper, he left fairly early on in the transfer window, so I needed a backup goalkeeper, and my director of football brought to my attention from Barcelona Arno Tenas for 180,000 overall, 180,000, and he's a half decent keeper. It's one of those, sometimes in Football Manager you will get recommended a player that's a 3-star with the potential to be 5. When they come in, they're not actually as good as you thought. This lad is one of those, although he is worth 19.5 million now, and for a goalkeeper of his age, that's some decent value in there. So I think the AI must be looking at him as a future prospect. He's 6'1". He's okay, he's not going to blow anybody's socks off. But I think as a backup keeper, and he's happy to play as a backup keeper, I think he will do a job for us. Hopefully Lafont doesn't pick up any injuries through the season, and I think if we have to use him, he will do a decent job, and he might get some game time in the cup competitions. Calvin Stengs, we all know about Calvin Stengs. He was one of those. I don't know whether it's a new thing in Football Manager or whether I'm just misreading things, but there seems to be an awful lot of loan players coming in now for 12 months. I always read it in the way that it's a loan with the option to buy at the end of the. But this one, and I've been caught with this a few times, this one, Calvin Stengs came in 12-month loan, but we actually had to pay 9 million at the end and had to buy him. I don't think I would have bought him, if I'm honest. He came in to do a job in the Championship, but we paid 9 million for him. He has got a value of 26 million now. He's got, he's 25-year-old. He's got a rating of 3 stars. He's okay, and he can play, obviously, down this side. So, he will get some game time. Now, I was after somebody to play through the middle. As we know, last season I had Mudryk on loan from Chelsea, and he had a great season for us. But his 70 million price tag we just couldn't afford. So my director of football went out there, did a bit of rummaging round, and he came up with Arsen Zakharyan, 21-year-old Russian lad. He's coming in as a 4-star with the potential to be 5. Like I said, he's on a free transfer and he's now worth 72 million. And I think you can, pass in technique, vision, flair. He's a very, very, very good player. The only thing he's not good at really is bravery. But as a creative player, and he's reasonably quick as well, I think he will do a really good job for us. Brought a couple of defenders, central defenders in last season for the Championship. Salisu ended up in the team of the year, so he was a great acquisition. And the other lad also, he had a good season as well. But I did need another quality centre back, and Mickey van der Ven, 23-year-old Dutch lads, coming as a 3-star with the potential to be 4. Powerful centre-back, media description. Very, very good mentals. He's very quick, which I do like in a centre-back. 6'4", and, you know, a tall centre-back who is quick. He's brilliant, because obviously they're a weapon at set pieces, but also if that ball gets chucked over your back 4, then he can catch up to them and hopefully get a tackle in. So I think he will be a great acquisition. Back to my director of football now, and Lucas Gorna-Doath, a 21-year-old French lad. He's going to be sitting at the base of the midfield. Obviously Ndidi left, so I did need somebody in there. But this lad, he's very young, 21-year-old. And when the director of football brought him to me, I thought, yeah, great prospect, you know. And when I started looking a little bit further into it, he's actually a wonder kid, or he was. He's not. Media description now is defensive midfield player. I think it's because he's gone over that age threshold. But he was a wonder kid, so he's got a 5-star potential, and he's coming as a 3-star. And as a 21-year-old, I think you can agree, his stats are very, very good. Again, very, very quick. He's 6'1" as well, so you know he's got a little bit of height to him. I think he'll do okay for us. Now, as I said, Patson Daka left. We had Shea Adams, who I brought in for the Championship. I mean, he came from Southampton, so he can play in the Premier League. But I wanted somebody, in there who could be, certainly for the future, but that can slot in, young, loads of potential. And if you watched any of my other saves, I mean, I didn't go searching for this lad. He actually came up on one of the scout reports. But I thought, oh, Marcus Leonardo, know him well. Marcus Leonardo was joined. He's now got a 5-star potential. He's worth 51 million, paid about 17 for him. And, well, if you've watched any of my other saves, I mean, I have a lot of faith in Marcus Leonardo to bang the ball in the back of the net. Back to my director of football again. Matt O'Reilly's come in, another central midfield player. Isco is he had a very, very good season for us last season, particularly in the asymmetric formation of tactic. But we do. I mean, obviously, Isco. I've given him a new contract. He came knocking on my door wanting a new contract, but he is bobbing on a little bit now, and I'm trying to build a young team here. So obviously, we've got some old heads in there, but this lad comes in as a trained in nation player, and again, thanks to my director of football, Matt O'Reilly, 23-year-old Danish lad. He's got a 4-star potential. He's now worth 40 million. And he, again, passing at 15, technique at 60. He's got some. The only thing, again, he's a little bit light on bravery, but we know we can do some training with him. So 25 million next to Nice for Kefren Thuram. This lad's a bit of an all-rounder, so he can play in both of these positions here. He's very, very good at being creative. Again, his mentals are very, very good, or at least the ones that matter. He's very quick again, but he can also mark and tackle. And, at 6'4", I mean, we're building a team here of, not giants, but, we are going to be a threat at set pieces. Hopefully we will be. And I think this lad he's certainly going to be a starter for us. But we have got the young wonder kid in there who can, deputise for him. So I think we are looking here at a bit of a superstar. And he's doubled his value as well. I mean, you can't argue with that, can you? And director of football again. Just about as the transfer window was going to slam shut, I kind of decided that I had a look at the registration rules. We had 25 players in there. We're allowed 25. But I thought, okay, but there's a couple of young kids in there who are probably not going to get a lot of game time. And it's the Premier League. We need strength in depth. So Ryan Gravenberch came in on loan, 3-star, potential to be 4.5. He's a £60 million player. Again, he's very, very good on that left-hand side. We've only got Harvey Barnes over there, so very good on the left, but he can also play through the middle. He can play attacking mid. Again, a very, very good up-and-coming young player, and I think he will get a lot of game time for us this season. Really great acquisition, and like I say, the important thing with this signing is its strength in depth, and it's great having the young kids in there to blood them, but maybe not in your first season back in the Premier League. The media prediction now has us in 10th position, and 150 to 1, 10th position. I would snatch your hand off for that now. We don't have any players in the media dream 11. Obviously, when you've got the likes of Haaland around and, Diaz, Van Dijk, we're not really going to, we're not on that level. I'm not sure whether we've got any key players. Zachariah is in there, so that's not too bad. Marcus Leonardo is in there. That's not too bad either. And also, when you get the emails about, expected leading goal scorers and all of that kind of thing, Marcus Leonardo is in there as in the top 5 of young player of the season, like up and coming players. So Marcus Leonardo, I think, is going to be a bit of a superstar for us. But I mean, if you've watched my other videos, you know that already. Quick look at the finances then. 1.6 million in the bank, although we do have some money coming in, about 80 million for TV rights over the season. Hopefully that will stabilise. I'm not quite sure. No transfer budget, but we have about 500,000 still left in wage budget. I mean, when you consider that the top teams will have a wage budget of between 5 and 6 million and we're spending 1.7, then I'm not sure whether it's a little bit of a risk going into the season and not having strengthened a bit more. But then I didn't really have the squad spots for it. And we've got players here like Harvey Barnes, etc., who, okay, I could have sold them, but, who we're going to replace them with. So we'll have to see how this season goes, and then maybe in the next transfer window, get some more money and then strengthen again. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? You get back into the Premier League, you try to stabilise, and then you just kick on. And each summer transfer window, you try and strengthen again and try and get yourself into a European spot. And that's, pretty standard, isn't it? Club vision, and the important thing is the board want us to record a Premier Division top half finish. So the board there's no talk there of relegation or mid-table. They want a top half finish, and this is going to be very, very tough with that kind of requirement from the board. It's going to be very, very tough. Be competitive in both of the cups as well. But that Premier League top half finish, that's not going to be easy, and I think this board are maybe in a bit of cloud cuckoo land, if I'm honest, because let's face it, Leicester got relegated from the Premier League just over 12 months ago, and they weren't a great team then. I've put together a team. It's by no means the finished article, and they're expecting a top half finish. We shall have to see about that one. So I've done a lot of soul searching and head scratching, and one or two of the players that I was going to use in various tactics kind of left, and it kind of left me with a bit of a headache in the asymmetric tactic. Didn't know whether that was going to work. So I've decided on this tactic, and it has worked quite well. We have played 2 Premier League games. I mean, I am going to simulate the season, but as per usual, I wanted to get right to the end of the transfer window to give myself the best chance of bringing in, decent players. And as you've seen, Gravenberch came in right at the death, so he's a good acquisition, and it was worth waiting. But I have gone with this formation, so it's a 4-3-3. I've got 2 DMs in there. Thuram is playing the DLP, and the new wonder kid is playing the anchor. We've got Isco in front of them, and we've got Barnes and Stengs out on the wing. But we have got players now that we can bring in to supplement those positions. Marcus Leonardo is the main striker. Che Adams as backup. We're playing with fullbacks on support. So we're going to play a controlled possession game. And with these 2 kind of anchors in there, I mean, Thuram, as we've seen, I mean, let's just have another quick look at him. He's a great all-rounder. So, he can play that deep-lying playmaker role. It's top of the shop. He's a 3.5 star for that. But he can get his foot in. He's very good at marking. His positioning's great. composure. He's a very, very good player at Thuram. So if he sits in there as the DLP with the young kid at the side of him as the anchor, hopefully that'll do a good job for us. And then we've got some creativity in Isco further forward. But we have still got Oxlade-Chamberlain on the bench. We've got Dewsbury Hall, Matt O'Reilly, the new Danish lad, and then certainly Zacharian could come in and play either on the wings or in the centre there. He's injured at the moment, which is not ideal. Typical football manager thing. You bring in what you think is going to be the signing of the season, and within a week he gets a 7-week injury. So you just have to play along with this silly game sometimes. But yeah, I think we're fairly set up okay now. The fullbacks are sitting back a little bit more. They're on support. We've got the 2 centre-backs in there. But obviously, we've got the new lad as well, Van de Ven. He's a left-footed centre-back that can come in and, do a good job for us. I think we're fairly well covered now. There's 1 or 2 little areas that, like left fullback, Christiansen is a 5-star potential, but he's only 2.5 star at the moment. He's a young kid. So Castagna I'm expecting good things from because he's an established player. But I think we're set up okay. And if I show you the schedule now of how things have been going, then it does seem to be working. So as you can see, we have played 2 games of the Premier League season. We had Tottenham away and Newcastle at home. We won both games 2-1. And, well, surprise, surprise. Well, no surprise to me because I know he's a superstar. Marcus Leonardo scored both goals in both games. He's got 4 goals already and only 2 starts. But we have got some, obviously the Premier League. I would expect to probably do well for the next few games. But then, you get this little spell here, Liverpool and United. Got City and Arsenal there. They seem to group these games, Football Manager, don't they? Where, you play 2 top teams, as well as doing the usual thing of playing a team in the Cup and in the League at the same time. It's a bizarre thing, but we have started really, really well. So with that, I'm going to holiday forward now to the end of the season and see how we've done. I'm quite optimistic. I think Marcus Leonardo up front, he will continue to bang the goals in, and when he's tired or unavailable, Shea Adams can come in. We know he can do a job because he scored about 26 goals last season. Okay, I know it was in the Championship, but he knows where the back of the net is. And I think I brought some really good players in. Gravenberch in that central role. He will play some a lot of football for us. And Thuram, I'm expecting great things from him. So anyway, less of the waffling. I'm going to go away now. We're going to holiday forward and let's see how we've done at the end of the season. We'll see you very shortly. And we're back. What would you say if I said European football for next season? We've got European football for next season. Let's have a look what actually happened. So we had a great little start there. Tottenham, Newcastle, Villa, West Ham. 4 nice wins to get us going, and I think that really kind of settled us in to the Premier League. Carabao Cup second round, we got beat 2-1 by QPR, then a little bit of a hangover, and we drew 1-1 with Everton. But then we bounced back, 3 nice wins. October, not so great. Not quite sure what happened in October. Leonardo still banging the goals in. Gravenberch banging the goals in. Zacharian is back from his injury. He actually scored in the 1-0 win against Brighton. Absolutely brilliant stuff. So yeah, October, not great. But we did have Liverpool, United in there. We had City in there and Arsenal. So very tough month. But then we seem to bounce back in December, and Leonardo banging the goals in, hat-trick in that game. Hat-trick in that game. Absolutely brilliant performance. The only points that were dropped were against Wolves at home and a 0-0. But, absolutely brilliant. Then it seems to be very, very up and down, because then we jump into January. Okay, I suppose it's the teams that we're playing. United, Liverpool, Chelsea, Newcastle, Tottenham. And I think we lost all of those, did we? Well, we drew against Chelsea. But yeah, not a great month again, January. Into February, 50-50 in that one. We won 2, drew 1, lost 1. And then into March, April, and it was a little bit of an iffy end to the season. We had a 1-1 draw on the last day of the season against Everton. But we had a nice 3-1 win against Southampton. And if you remember, Southampton were a little bit of a bogey team for us last season. But anyway, let's have a look and see where that's left us. And yes, we've ended up in a European spot. 6th place. We had 38 points, 18 wins, 9 draws, only 11 losses. Absolutely brilliant. And we ended up on 63 points. Brighton just 1 point above us on 64. And then there was a little bit of a gap then to United, finishing in 4th place. But we actually finished the season above Chelsea, above Tottenham, above Newcastle. Newcastle had an awful season. And the 3 relegated teams, Wolves, Notts Forest and Fulham. And let's have a look at a few of the standout performers. Marcus Leonardo, again, I knew he would. He always plays really well for me. He's actually gained some star rating now. He's a 4-star player with the potential to be 4.5. What a solid player he is. 37 appearances, 30 goals in the Premier League, a 1 assist, 9 player of the matches, 7.12. Absolutely brilliant. Che Adams, on the other hand, I think if I carry on stimulating this save, I think Che Adams needs to be sold and bring somebody else in. 25 appearances, 1 assist, 6.72. Very, very, very poor. And he had plenty of chance there. 25 appearances, did absolutely nothing. Ryan Gravenberch, my last day of the transfer window signing, 35 appearances, 4 goals, 5 assists, 3 player of the matches, but he only ended up on a 6.87. I'm not quite sure why he only ended up with that kind of a score, with those kind of figures. That's a bit strange. Harvey Barnes, 34 appearances, 7 goals, 7 assists, 2 player of the matches, 7.02. Very solid player, Harvey Barnes. Kefren Thuram, the player I had high hopes for, and he really delivered. 36 appearances, 8 assists, 3 player of the match, 7.22. Absolutely brilliant return. The young wonder kid playing as a defensive midfielder, anchor type player. Fairly solid season for him. 36 appearances, 6.96. He didn't actually hit the 7, but I think DMs in Football Manager very rarely hit the heights. So I think a good solid season for him, and I think he will go on to great things. Van der Ven, a little bit disappointed he didn't score any goals with his height. 38 appearances, only had 1 player of the match, 7.02. So maybe a little bit disappointed with him. And Zacharian, the lad that we brought in on a free transfer, if you remember, he was injured for about 7 or 8 weeks at the beginning of the season. So obviously he missed quite a lot of game time, and then it probably would have taken him a while to get, up and running. But 31 appearances, scored 3 goals, couple of assists, 6.91. So if we can keep him fit, I think we've got a good player for next season. And my goalkeeper, I gave him a new contract just as the transfer window was coming to an end. So I thought I'd give him a new contract. He was banging on my door, gave him a new contract, and he repaid me. 38 appearances, 42 conceded, so just over a goal a game, which is not bad in the Premier League. 10 clean sheets. He got 2 player of the matches, 6.91. And just looking down in the medical centre, Salisu, my centre-half, he broke his leg in April. He's out for 2 to 4 months, which is a very sorry sight for any footballer. But we did lose one of our centre-backs. He can also play at left-back as well, but we did lose him, just before the end of the season. Finance is looking absolutely brilliant. 34 million in the bank. We have a transfer budget for the upcoming season now. We're in Europe, so we're going to need to, follow the European registration rules. New players are going to have to come in. Some players will have to go out, but we've got an 81 million transfer budget, and the wage budget, I think, must have been juggled a little bit there. Wage budget 1.8, we were spending 1.7. So I think the director of football maybe has juggled that a little bit. And just a final look at this competition screen. So yeah, there's a confirmation. We finished in the Conference League position for next season in 6th place with 63 points. And we were, what was that? 6 points ahead of Everton. So we kind of did it, you know, in great style, really. FA Cup, we got knocked out in the 4th round by Newcastle. I don't suppose no disgrace there, although Newcastle did finish in 14th place. So maybe we could have done a bit better in the FA Cup. And the Caribou Cup, we got knocked out in the 2nd round by Queen's Park Rangers. Never even got going in the Caribou. But who cares? We're in Europe next season. And with that, I'm a very happy Gobby Gaffer. Thanks for watching. It's been a really good save, very interesting. Some great work done in the transfer window and some great work by my director of football. If you've not watched my transfer tutorial that went up a couple of days ago, then I suggest you go and watch that, because there's a lot in there about the director of football, and I do rely on my director of football a lot, providing he's good. But there are ways and means with that. Again, go and watch the tutorial on transfers. So again, I'm going to say thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time with who knows, another tutorial, another rebuild. We'll see you shortly.